Good evening, Michigan. Hope everybody's day has been well. Hope everybody's night's going well. Sorry about the delay there. Having a little green screen trouble, as you can still see behind me there. But nothing that we can't handle. We'll get to the main points here tonight. We're going to talk about the border crisis some and the devastation that's going on down there. We're going to go to Gretchen Whitmer a little bit more, this time with Line 5, one of our main propane sources for our state. And then we're going to talk about some serious subjects tonight. How is everybody's night going? Alright, tonight we're going to talk about some things that are going down at the border. We're going to talk about Gretchen Whitmer some more. And then we're going to get to some serious matters at the end of this stream tonight. Some things that we really need to talk about with each other. Now, as far as the border crisis goes, to say it just plain flat out, it's just absolutely one of the most inhumane things that I've seen. The more I look into it, the more I'm just appalled at the amount of things that are happening down there. I watched a documentary the other day where these two brothers had came across the border, and the little brother was and now Facebook might shut me down for telling this story, but maybe not, so we'll get to it. The older brother, the older brother had to cut off his little brother's ear or be shot because some parents in Honduras decided to send their children with these smugglers, with these human traffickers, to push them to the United States. And then they will send them to the families and demand more money. The reason I tell this story is because these are the things that are being perpetuated under this administration. That it's okay to send your children. You can't come, but it's okay to send your children. What parent is trying to do good for their child when the top person in a country is saying that we will accept your children? What are they going to do? Their lives might be miserable. But anybody that's a parent that would want to give their child that opportunity, and yeah, it's a dangerous risk to them. It is. I'm sure they think about that. I'm sure that they think about that. But the point of the matter is when you put that incentive in there, when those words come out of our leader's mouth, and they have numerous times, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Internal Affairs, all saying the same thing. That they are not turning away children. They are turning away families and they are turning away adults, but they are not turning away single children. So what does that do? That gives these families that are in poverty, that want a better life for their children, that are, once again, the risk may be high, but they want a better life for their children, so they're willing to take the risk to send their children with these human traffickers for them to try to have a better life. These things should not be incentivized by our leaders at all. The other day we had numerous senators, a dozen senators go down, not our vice president, not our president, numerous senators go down and go visit our border. And there's literal flags in the holes that are in our border wall. There's flags in the holes
showing people safe places to cross into our country. But we're not incentivized. We're not telling people to come. We've shut down the border. It doesn't seem to be that way. While the senators were there, they seen 2 dead bodies in the Rio Grande. And that's not the first, that's by far not the first case. If you do some research on that, which I always want you guys to do research. I'm not your mind. I'm not your mind. You never have to take anything I ever say at face value. I encourage you to challenge things that anybody that wants to be in a seat of leadership to do the same thing. I encourage anybody and everybody, always, do your own research. But it's not the first case of this. There's been numerous people, namely children, that have drowned in the Rio Grande trying to come across to our country. And once again, it's being incentivized. We will not turn your children away. And they find people that have made it here from Mexico or from whatever country, may be family, may not be family, and they get a phone number for them, and they write the phone number on their arm, on the arm of the child, and then they send them across to the United States. And then they contact the person in the United States, and the child gets in. But when you don't have, and that's not a system to start with, but when this administration doesn't have a system in place at all, when you're having over 16,000 immigrant children that are sitting in these camps that you're about to see shortly, that I'm about to show you what's really going on down there. There's a media blackout down there. Nobody's allowed in there. Why? You're going to see why nobody's allowed in there. Because they don't want you seeing what's going on down there. And they want to lay blame on the previous administration. Won't say the name for fear of being kicked off of here. But they want to blame it all on the previous administration. When with our previous administration and our previous policies, we were at the lowest illegal border crossing rate in 45 years. Not in 8 years, not in 4 years, not in 5 years. 45 years. And now we're seeing a flow of over 5,000 to 6,000 people every day since this administration has taken office. And you tell me where the blame lies. And then they go on TV the other day, we're not accepting families, we're not accepting adults. But we will not turn away single children. Incentivizing. We're going to go to this first video clip of Down at the Border because, like I said, the more that I looked into this subject, the more it infuriated me on the types of things that are not only happening down there, but when these children are pushed out and sent to sometimes walk on their own from wherever their country of origin is to our country, sometimes over 2,000 miles. And the things that they have to endure, and they're incentivized by our leadership. We're going to go to this first video for you guys.
This morning at the southern border, more than 15,000 migrant children are in federal custody, and the Homeland Security Secretary is trying to contain the fallout.
The border is closed. We are expelling families. We are expelling single adults, and we've made a decision that we will not expel young, vulnerable children.
Now, a new temporary overflow facility for up to 2,000 children is set to open in West Texas. While the Biden administration claims the surge is on pace to be the largest in 20 years.
I know what's going on in those facilities.
What more can be done, sir?
A lot more. We're in the process of doing it now.
Republicans are pouncing.
The border right now is wide open because the Biden administration dismantled the very effective policies of the Trump administration.
We visited a shelter in Matamoros, Mexico, where Janine Torres told us she was desperate.
Es muy desesperante tener a tus hijos.
As a mother, we want the best for our kids, she said. Right now, there are about 80 or so migrants in this shelter. Some have been waiting for asylum for more than a year. In El Paso, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut toured border facilities. Hundreds of kids packed into big open rooms, he tweeted. I fought back tears as a 13-year-old girl sobbed uncontrollably, explaining through a translator how terrified she was. Ruben Garcia runs a migrant shelter nearby and says that after the Trump administration's border policies, a surge like this was bound to happen.
It would have been encouraging for people to say, maybe, just maybe, it's going to be possible for me to be able to enter the United States.
President Biden now says he plans to visit the border at some point to get a first-hand look at the conditions here.
Plans to visit at some point, even though, as I shared the other day from my page, he's handed yet another job off to Kamala Harris for her to handle in his place. So she's speaking to world leaders, she's handling the COVID-19 response team, and now she's handling the crisis at the border. So what is Joe Biden handling? What responsibilities does he have? We've seen him, I believe, once now address the nation as officially address the nation. And he reads from note cards even when he does things to that nature. And now it's almost like the seat of presidency doesn't exist. That vice president will do just fine, and here's all the responsibilities. It seems to lead to a pattern that, and I feel bad for Joe Biden sometimes. I'll be totally honest. Because half the time, complete honesty, I don't really think that he knows what's going on. And that might be the case. But it doesn't change the fact that whether it be Joe Biden or whether it be Kamala Harris or Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell or whoever it may be, the fact is that this is just one piece of the road that our country is heading down. To where we don't enforce our borders, we don't enforce our laws, we don't enforce our restrictions, then what do we actually stand for? For one, what is a country without borders? And we need to enforce our borders. No matter how that may be, no matter to what extent might be necessary. Whether it be a wall, whether it be armed men, whatever the necessities may be to keep our people safe, or whoever may come through there. That's why we have systems in place for people to apply for if they truly do need asylum. We have processes for that. And just like if people want to actually seek citizenship in our country, we have processes for that. We have these processes to keep the people that want to do harm to our country out. That is why we have these processes. That is why people must follow these processes and do things the right way. Or you end up with things like this, to where you have no idea how many people are actually coming across every day, how many people are going to do our country harm, how many people just want to live for a new life, which I guarantee there are truly some people like that. They're just looking for a new start. They're trying to escape something they were worse off in. But unfortunately, there's a process for that. And we have to adhere to that process. And this is just one of the numerous things that are being put in place to tear down our infrastructure, in my opinion, from the outside in, or from the inside out. Guns are going to be another thing that we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, but we're going to talk about that fully in another episode as well. Because that's another important thing that there's absolutely no give on. Zero. You're never going to change the Second Amendment. It's never going to happen. You're never going to tamper with it. You're never going to make us give it up. You're never going to make us give up what it stands for. And it stands for the fight against tyranny. It's not just so people can, the benefits, the pluses after the fact are hunting, collecting, gun shows, everything to that nature. But it's to protect ourselves from tyranny, from the things that our founding fathers knew and escaped from. That at their hearts they were willing to die for these founding beliefs. And they knew that they were important, and now people want to try to change it. And it's not going to happen. People need to wake up. This has been going on for years. They are just not hiding it anymore. And yes, it is on both sides. They are not hiding it from you anymore. They don't feel that they need to. You have to see it. They are stripping away your rights. They are taking everything that you hold dear in this country. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. Amen to that. And if anybody, at any time, feel free to drop any comments, questions that you have down in the comments right here on Facebook. And I will always go through them and try to get back to people about questions they have about where I stand on things, or viewpoints, or any questions they might have in general. You can also contact me on my website as well, which is www.hobsonforhouse.com. And just on the Facebook page too, you can message me on here. I'll always go through those too and try to get back to whoever gets in contact with me, because that's a big part of my campaign. Is I want you guys to know that your voices can now be heard. From my district and further, I want you guys to know that there's somebody here that will stand for you, that isn't just going to fall back in the shadows and go with the crowd. It doesn't have to. I'm not a Democrat, and I'm not a Republican either. That's why, one of the reasons why I do things like this is so I can reach all of you. You don't have to go with the crowd. You don't have to follow along with all these nonsensical things. And if you agree with those things, you can be so gracious as to help me share this message out that I try to give everybody every day. I post to my Facebook page every day. It's one of the first things that I try to do for everybody when I get up in the morning, because I truly do care about the people of our state and our nation. These times are bad. All these things about the wealthy and the elite and them wanting to own everything. What is that? What's happening to small businesses? They're being wiped out. Who's donating to all these people that are trying to take our rights away? Big business. The George Soros Foundation, Facebook, Google, BlackRock. You look any of these things up and see where the money is truly going to. It doesn't. Some of it goes to Republicans, just enough for what we would like to call rhinos that want to also do the same thing. Strip our rights away slowly. Well, faster now. But what's going on at the border right now is absolutely, there's no, it's unforgivable. The amount of children and the amount of people that are there and the conditions that are going on there. And if you look at one of my past Facebook posts, I apologize, actually. I thought I had it on the clips here tonight. If you go to my Facebook page and look at the conditions that these people are living in, it's, if you've ever been inside of a jail and seen jail cells, it's reminiscent of jail cells. Things that we've seen 5 years ago, before the previous administration. They're now once again reminiscent of jail cells, including children, packed 20, 30 people inside of these plastic boxes. Some of them have coronavirus, some of them don't. That's not including the ones that have had COVID and escaped into the country. And they're just all corralled together inside of these boxes single TV, radio, and then now 96. What was it, like $96 million of taxpayer money to put illegal immigrants in hotel rooms. So some of the things to put them in hotel rooms, that we have homeless veterans on the street in our own country. And our taxpayer dollars are going to fund hotel rooms for illegal immigrants? You've got to be kidding me. These things can't stand. It's insanity. It's insanity on a mass scale. And the fact that everybody can't see how out in the open they are with it anymore, I can't believe it. But, well, that'll be generalized a little bit more at the end of the stream here. Now I'd like to talk about, we've talked about Gretchen Whitmer previously with her atrocities with our nursing homes. But now I'd like to talk about Line 5, which, for those of you that don't know, Line 5, in simple terms, is a line that provides natural gas for our state, and a good majority of our state. About 65% of the UP gets their natural gas from Line 5, and about 35% to 40% of the lower peninsula gets their propane and energy from Line 5. This line makes it unnecessary for trucks to have to haul these things back and forth, putting wear and tear on infrastructure, on our bridges and such, and the cost of shipping, the cost of fuel for the trucks to get it where it's going. And now, mind you, you'll see in a second, this is something that Gretchen Whitmer had a problem with, Line 5, that she had a problem with back before she was even governor, when she ran for governor. She couldn't believe that this problem hadn't been dealt with sooner. So that means now at this point, from the point of this video you're about to see, that she's had 3 years to come up with a plan, a systematic plan, a taxpayer dollar friendly plan of how to get this natural gas to the people that need it without driving the cost of propane and such up through the roof. And she hasn't. And so she wants to end one system. Well, isn't that how it usually goes? End one system before you have another one in place. That's why we see what we have going on at the border as well. End one system before you have one in place. So she wants to end Line 5, no system in place, except to truck it, no system in place, and drive the cost of propane and other natural gases through the roof for the residents of Michigan. So what logic lies in that? Like I said, once again, just like with the border crisis, what logic lies in that? Why are you going to, in the good sense of your citizens of your state, why are you going to end one before you have what you think is a better system in place to save us in the end? You're supposed to, as an elected official, no matter who you are, no matter if you're a governor, if you're a U.S. representative, if you're a state senator, president of the United States, you're supposed to have the best interest of your people at heart. And we are not seeing that from any level. From our local levels, from our judges, from our commissioners in our counties, all the way up to our now president, our governor, our representatives, like Mr. Dan Kildee, who I will be running against in 2022. We just want to sit by it and just let these things coast right on through. And it's okay. We don't have to listen to our citizens. And it's time for them to know that, yes, they do. Because when it comes to something like this, nobody nobody, especially in the Upper Peninsula, at a majority vote, wants to end Line 5. Now, I don't see wherein that wouldn't be a decision that could take place with the residents of Michigan, especially the people that it hurts the most. Like I said, the people that live in the Upper Peninsula. And not only that, but we provide natural gas to people with that line to 5 other states and Canada, 2 provinces in Canada as well. And we're just going to cut it. It's just done. No other plan in place. So, we're going to go see what Gretchen Whitmer has to say about Line 5 before she was even elected governor. Mind you, like I said, she had 3 years at this point. This was in 2018. She had 3 years at this point to have a better plan in place than what we currently have.
Most environmental groups want Line 5 shut down, but Governor Snyder's reached an agreement with Enbridge to build a tunnel replacing the line under the Straits of Mackinac. He says it's necessary to supply northern Michigan residents with propane. I know you've pledged to work to revoke Enbridge's easement with the state. How would you convince the courts that Michigan has grounds to do so? And then how would you ensure people in the UP still have access to affordable fuel?
Yeah, so Line 5 is, I think the governor's recent announcement with regard to Line 5 is very troubling. Number one, he's tying the hands of the next governor. Number two, it counts on trusting a company that has shown we have a lot of reasons not to trust them, right? From the representations they've made to the bad studies they've made to their characterization of the condition of Line 5. Wrong, wrong, wrong. And now to trust this company to proceed and to give them the authority is, I think it's really foolish and dangerous. So I do not support Governor Snyder's announcement that he made. I think it's wrong to tie the hands of the next governor. I believe that committing to keeping that line in the water for the next 7 to 10 years while a tunnel is being built is downright dangerous. And so I will go to court. I will challenge it. We have yet to know every aspect to what he's trying to do. There is a meeting from the Bridge Authority 2 days after the election. They're supposed to make some sort of a decision in December. And I've talked to Bridge Authority members who didn't hear anything about it until it came out in the press. This is a problem. And the transparency and the high stakes, I think, are what, or lack of transparency and the high stakes here are what I think concern me the most. I couldn't believe it when I saw that this was what they were announcing, and I think we have yet to learn every piece of it, and that's why what the legal challenge is going to be, I think, remains to be seen based on what action they do or don't do.
Okay. It sounds like the end goal eventually, right, would be to shut down Line 5. That would be your preference?
I want the oil out of the water.
Okay, so if that's the case, how would you ensure people in the UP still have access to affordable fuel?
Well, I think that there are alternatives. You know, obviously I'm interested in ensuring that Upers have affordable heat, affordable, propane.
Yes.
That's something that's critical. There are such divergent statistics about how much is actually coming from that line to actually bring down prices. It could be supplemented by some trucks over the bridge. Is that ideal? No, but it might be a good alternative. One boatful could allay those concerns as well. So there are going to be there are positives and negatives to any alternative, but I think the greatest benefit is getting the vast majority of that product out of the water.
All right, so we're going to end that now because as you can, these alternatives aren't ideal. One boatful. Send it over on one boatful. So why haven't these things been done? And as Bill Moore II said here in the chat, she had said something about an executive order that she pledged and placed a committee in charge of implementing a propane line to the UP. But as Bill said, I haven't seen anything about it since she had said that either. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that either. And now, as you know, a new line, a bolt full, 3 years. Granted, there has been a pandemic going on, but I don't think she's had much to do in that time except slap down executive orders. So, where's the plan? You know, is it going to be trucked? Are we going to have to pay all that extra, pay for the truckers and the mileage and the companies to do it and the rising cost of fuels as it is? And we're gonna be the ones to fork over all that cost. The companies aren't going to take that hit. The state's not going to take that hit. We are. As the customers, we will. And she just says it like, oh yeah, there's always drawbacks. Well, yeah, but so you can't, there's absolutely no give with the idea of this tunnel being built and implemented over the course of the next 5 years. There's no, because sit down with the company. She's refused 3 different sit downs with the company, to my knowledge. Could be more, but to my knowledge, she's refused 3 sit downs with the company to try to get something worked out with Line 5, to try to make it a little bit better. You know, because we're not saying that it's the best thing. It's been there since 1955, but the answer isn't just to rip it out, especially when you don't even have another plan in place. You have 65% of the UP that depends on Line 5 for heat. And you have 35 to 40% of the Lower Peninsula that relies on Line 5 for heat. And then 5 other states have a significant amount that goes to them, including 2 Canadian provinces. So it's not just affecting our economy, it's on a bigger system than that. And these things are just tossed around so nonchalantly, especially by people that either, which I don't know if Gretchen Whitmer heats with propane or not, but people that either have no problems in affording these things, or people that just don't care because they're not even ones that probably pay their own bills. These are the people that don't have our best interest at heart. These are the people that we have to stand up against. This right here is why 2022 is so important. Because it gives us a fighting chance again. That we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. I'm going to get to this last video for you guys about what if Line 5 were to leave.
Governor Whitmer wants Line 5 shut down with no plan to replace the essential energy it delivers. If Line 5 shuts down, it means a shortage of millions of gallons of fuel every day. It's vital energy that heats homes, fuels transportation, and drives our industries. If Line 5 shuts down, fixed-income families and small businesses struggling to survive will face higher energy costs. If Line 5 shuts down, then what?
Exactly. Not to mention the over 7,000 jobs that it would just like one of her, lack of a better term, idols, Joe Biden. With the foul swoop of a pen, she'll eliminate 7,000 jobs from Michigan residents. Canadian residents will also suffer as well from this. People in Ohio, Pennsylvania. And like the video said, and then what? Then what happens? What's the plan? Nothing. And I've tried researching it. I've tried to my fullest extent to try to find a plan from Governor Whitmer. And there is none. Zero to be had. One of the most things I could find was that video that you guys watched from before she was even governor. Wants to just shut it down with absolutely nothing to back it up. Just like our current administration in the White House. Shut things down with no plan to back it up. Now, for the end of the stream for you guys, I'd like to talk about a few things. There are important things that are going on right now. Don't mind my glitchiness. There's a lot of things going on in our country right now, you guys. A lot of bad things are happening. They used to do these things behind closed doors, like I said, and now they don't care if you see them or not. They take away your rights. They come in your house. They take what you want, as you can see right now in the U.S. Supreme Court. We can now let these things stand. We can now let these executive orders continue. We cannot keep having our freedoms and our liberties stripped from us. We have to remember the country that we are. The country that we were founded to be. Morally right. The rights given to us by our Creator. That we are able to protect ours and our own. To say what we want, as long as it doesn't intrude on the rights of others. And to live and prosper. Those are the things that our country was founded on. We have the consent to be governed. Every person's voice is more powerful than they ever understand. That's what we hold elections for when we do. That's another thing that our country is based on, is the consent to be governed. These people have to have the consent from you to lead you. Not to rule you, to lead you. And they are not doing their jobs. And the only people that can stop them is us. We are the only ones with the power. Some things from past may have downhearted a lot of people. We can fix that too. From the county level to the federal level, we can fix our voting system as well. It just takes enough voices to be heard. It takes enough phones to be picked up. It takes enough letters to be written. It takes enough rallies to be held. It takes enough picket lines to be formed. To make sure that your voice is just as important as anybody that's burning down a building. Never forget these things. They're one of the reasons, they're the many reasons why we live in one of the greatest countries. It's because we're supposed to have these rights, not given to us by our government. We're born with these rights. They can't take them from us. Our founding fathers extended these rights. They gave us the freedom of speech, declared, no question about it, in our country forever. They gave us the right to bear arms in our country, no question, forever. They protected us from illegal search and seizure in our Constitution, in our country, forever, no question. Everybody remember these things. They're the most important things to hold dear to you as an American. You have the consent of all of these things. And you're a lot more powerful than you think. We are a lot more powerful than we think. And our founding fathers knew how powerful the people were. And like I say all the time, that's why the first 3 words of that document say, "We the people." I will forever stand behind my country. I will forever fight for what is right in my country. I will not sit down any longer while these things happen, and neither should you. This is not a call to violence in any form. This is for you to stand up for your rights as an American that are being taken from you. Everybody needs to wake up and see this. This is the reality that you live every day now. And the only ones that can stop it are us. That's why I come to you guys once a week, to try to enforce this and to make it sure that you guys know these things. Because people tend to forget. Whether people like it or not, our country was founded by rebels that had been pushed around, that had had enough of a tyrannical government, that had had enough of being pushed around and taxed till they couldn't be taxed no more, as we see again now. That they had their weapons not shipped to them so that they couldn't form an armed rebellion. Their weapons were taken from them, just as they're trying to do now. We have the three branches of government for a reason. They were put there for a reason, for checks and balances. Those are being destroyed now. These are the things that are another part of our foundation of our country. We must protect them. It's not enough to sit back and just cheer on the fight anymore. I know that. I've been cheering it on for the last 13 years. And yet again, like I like to say, probably no more dirt about these politicians than they know about themselves. But now there's true patriots to stand with us in Washington. And we know who they are. And I choose to fight with them. Because I'm done sitting in the background and watching my country waste away to socialism and call it what it is, communism. We've had enough. We will never forget that we are Americans, and we will never forget the rights that our founding fathers put in place for us when they established this great country. Don't anybody ever forget those. They are what make us free. They are what give us our rights in our country. It's like Ronald Reagan said, if freedom is lost here, there's nowhere else to run in the world. If democracy is lost here, there's nowhere else to go. So thank you all for your support. And thank you guys for tuning in. We're all in this together. I'm right at the front of all you guys. Anybody who wants to go. I'll always lead you in the best way that I can. And I'll always try to listen to what's best for you. Stay strong, stay informed, and have a good night.